A warm welcome to Amanda Show. How are you? I hope you're well wherever you are. Thank you for your continuous support. Thank you for the views and the comments that you always posted. Let them come more and more. Yeah, and if you have not subscribed, please do. Please do. And also, as you subscribe, also view because it doesn't make sense if you subscribe and you don't watch. Yeah, and so for those who want to support us monetary wise, there is an M-Pesa line there. We need that money. Yeah, but thank you for those who pray for me, those who always want to, maybe who are still gathering the courage to come on this platform. Yeah, nawangoja, and I know when the day is set for us, you'll come. Yeah, so without taking long, let me just introduce our guest for today, a beautiful lady in the house. She's going to tell us about her story, and I know it's going to impact your lives. So fasten your seatbelt and watch. So before I introduce her, I'm going to give you 5 seconds so that you subscribe, and now you'll get to hear from our guest. Thank you. All right, so here is our guest for today. Shout out to Julian.
Hi. How are
Julian.
You? I'm fine.
You're well?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for accepting to be on Amanda's show.
It's a privilege. It's an honor. It's a blessing.
Yes.
I don't have any. As in, I never thought I would get such an opportunity because najua mtu yufikiri can happen, but many are the plans of a man, but the plans of the Lord, they prevail. And God surprises us because we never know what He's going to do. So, yeah, here I am.
Karibu sana. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
So you are going to introduce yourself so that the audience can know who is Julian. Who is Julian?
Tell me about yourself.
Yes.
Like when you
not like the one for the interview, please.
No, not that one. That one.
Yeah.
No. So my name is Julian Adhiambo Ramogi. I'm the firstborn in a family of 4. Yeah. By the grace of God, and let me say it's a blessing, all of us are still alive. You know, this,
Amen,
we don't usually mention it, but it's a big thing. All of us are still alive, including my parents, and I thank God for that. I'm a wife. Yes, I'm married to one Francis Njoroge Gisheki.
Hi, Francis.
Yes, hi, babe. Yeah, and yes, he is serving the nation of Kenya somewhere within the vicinities. Yes. And I'm a mom of 2. I usually say 3, but 2 because I lost one before they came to be, but 2. God amenipatia 2. So those 2 are there, a boy and a girl.
Awesome.
Yeah, Zuriel and Ariella.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
Amaluo. Yeah, but we don't say. Yes,
we don't say. Okay.
Yeah.
People from UK.
Yeah. Watcha. Yeah. So I thank God.
Yeah.
I'm a daughter of the Most High God. That's the most important thing. Being a daughter of the Most High God, knowing that I have a father who loves me so much, who's always there for me in good times and bad times.
Amen.
He's seen me for the past 39 point something years of my life. I'm turning 40 in 10 days.
Eish.
I tell you.
They say life begins at 40.
I know.
Why are we celebrating?
Right? Yeah. Life begins at 40. That's when you go back to your 16.
I know.
You don't age like wine. You don't
fine wine.
Want those silver strands to just fall gracefully.
I have them.
Yeah, I know. They're the prettiest thing ever. I don't know why people work so hard to cover them, but so I think that's it about me. The rest we get to. I love people. I love marriages so much, and I'm in the line of being one of those people who wants to help people, make their marriages whole, and just tuseme aje kuuza sera za Mungu vile ndoa inafaa kukaa. Yeah, so that's who I am.
A counselor.
That's me. Yeah, counselor, therapist, whatever, daktari wa ndoa.
Hey, sawa.
Yeah, that's why.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And what do you do as a living? Or
No, right now I am a full-time mom at home. I'm currently studying my marriage for my marriage and counseling therapy course. But I'm a mom who is a full-time mom. That's actually work.
Yeah.
24 hours, 365 days a year. Like it's full-time. That's a job in itself.
It is.
So that's my GD.
I think we should just be adding that in the job
Work
description.
from home mom. And it's not work papers. You wake up, your door gets knocked on by default by the employer who is your children. Yeah, because once they come in, the house turns around, it's their house. Yeah, so they want to see results.
Yes.
What's banging, so I work from home.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and how many years have you been married?
Wow, that's the thing. In the month of this same month, November, so I've said my birthday is in 10 days.
Yes.
So that's November 18th. November 17th is when I actually got married.
Oh.
So I'll be celebrating from 2016 to 2024. Is it 8 years, 9 years? Yes.
8.
Yes.
Oh.
Of marriage.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So you wanted to get married on the birthday?
No, actually, it just happened. It happened. It wasn't like planned. We didn't really plan that that should be the date. We did a civil wedding. So what happened is that when you go to the AG, there's this process. They have the search, all these things they have to do. So by the time we were done with the process, I think they usually put an announcement and then they give you the dates. So for some reason, it just ended up on 17th. I was like,
oh, okay.
Allah.
Double celebration.
Yeah, I know. And tomorrow is my birthday. So
wow.
It's a like I said, many other plans of a man. But by the end of the day, it is God who plans them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you said that you have 3 children, one in heaven.
One is being raised by God in heaven.
Yes, and 2
the
are
rest.
How old is the one in heaven?
Wow, the one in heaven should be exactly the same as my marriage, because it happened in 2016. The month was July on 26th. July 26th. Yeah. You usually have the dates. Yeah. So he or she would have been, around 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the second born?
The second born Zuriel is 4 years. And my daughter is 2 years. 2.5 years, actually.
Oh, so there is a gap of 4 years.
Yes, there's a gap.
What happened?
Even before the first pregnancy, it was a struggle. And you can't really quite explain, because you go to the doctor and then they tell you, but you guys okay, you're healthy, because I think my doctor, if you are to testify, can testify the number of times I've been to his office. It's like, please check me, please check me, please check me. I have these signs. Please check me. It goes through your mind like every other time, because you're so desperate. You want to get pregnant, but you're wondering what's happening. And it's so bad, because it reaches a point, like, okay, so you're married and all these things. I mean, people are talking, they're like calling you barren. And those are not the best names to be called, especially when it's not your fault. And I remember there are times I used to even go to the office and cry to my friends. I was like, I'm trying, but it's not happening. I am trying. They're like, don't worry, Julian. God's trying, nini. Every time you're trying, you're hoping. As in the number of pregnancy tests, this is a 50 bomb I bought. And my husband can like testify and just say, well, because he usually reminds me even up to date. It's like, yeah, babe, nakumbuka vile ulikuwa unalia. It's because it became like a trend every month when there was a slight delay. And also I think there's a way your mind kind of just plays tricks on you. It's like you're pregnant now. It's your menses that have delayed. And then you wait like 2-3 days, and you're like, you feel some cramps, and you're like, let me buy a pregnancy strip
You
test.
feel them by force.
Yeah, let me go to the doctor. Let me go to the doctor. It's like, telling you stuff. Ukishaona tu hiyo reaction ja tu.
Hakuna.
Or when you're just waiting for that strip to turn, you know, double and double. There's one. You cry, you know.
Yeah.
So I struggled. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's usually your mentality, like when you're desperate for something, it delays. But also at the same time, I think God understands best why sometimes some things happen. Because after that is when I got, pregnant. The same year we got married. So I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I lost the baby at 2 months. Okay. I was around 8 weeks, almost 10 weeks. So you see that on top of have waited for that entire time, I was like, hey, okay, what's going on?
For that, you had waited for how many years?
Not so many years. I had waited for like several months. I was, every month you feel something is different with your body. And then something my doctor used to tell me, your problem is you tend to rely on Google so much. Okay, you tend to rely on Google so much. So it was that year of marriage. The first year of marriage was a bit hard. Okay, and then so the struggles, and then the way my body was reacting, because at some point I was put on some hormonal thingies.
Contraceptives.
Not contraceptives. I've never done contraceptives because my body is sensitive. But there was this hormonal drug. I don't remember the name. I was given by my doctor to try and test and see. Yeah, pregnancy. It's something to boost your hormones. I don't know. I can't quite explain. But it really messed up my body. I think this was like some either 3 months now to this other pregnancy. Now 3 months to. It messed up my body because now it started acting. I became, first of all, very big. And then all of a sudden I could have very funny clots. So I kept on going back to the hospital. What are these? What's going on? And the doctor was like, it's your hormones. Okay. So I had to stop that again. Because now, you see, also with my husband's nature of work, I was like, it's good to just start early. Good to start early. And then at the same time, I got married when I was... is it 31? 31. So you see also that your time, you're too much.
Yeah.
So people are like, hey, wait, what's wrong with you? And then some people, even with people calling you barren, people assume that maybe in your teen years or something, these are the rumors that are going around. Maybe you once got pregnant and then you aborted. People just assume that maybe this had happened, and then that's why you're not getting pregnant, So I was like, okay, now I don't know what else to do. And I remember by the time I was even giving birth to Zuriel now, I was 35, I think 35. The doctors were asking me, Mama, why have you taken so long? I was like, it's not my fault. Because you see, from 2016 now to Zuriel, who was born in 2020, that's
a big gap.
A big gap, yeah. So I was like, I don't know what happened. See, because even when I got married, still, I'm timing my cycle because I know like today because I'm very regular. So I know today I'm going to ovulate. I know everything is on point. And I'm one of those people, like when you ovulate, you're very sensitive. You kind of feel and hear. Yeah, and even my doctor taught me, just count your days like this. And it doesn't happen. Nothing. And then, somebody would come. Even it reached a point some of my friends would not tell me when they are pregnant. Because
they'll feel like...
Yeah, they would be like, I'd feel bad.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, no, you know me. I would not feel bad as much as I have that ache. But say this, Kabiba, if you're getting pregnant because you're counting yours the same way I'm counting, but mine's not working, I don't know what's happening. So it just went on and on and on like that. Now the first pregnancy came, I lost it, but then the doctors were like, my doctor was like, it's probably just a hormonal thing. So now moving forward, if you happen to get pregnant again, of which you will, he's a very good doctor.
Awesome.
He encouraged me and consoled me, especially after the bad experience I had at the hospital. And he told me, you will get pregnant again because now your uterus has tasted carrying a
baby.
Yeah, that's how he explained. It has tasted carrying a baby. So definitely right now it's ripe for another baby. So hata yeye kuniambia hivyo ndio sasa ikanifanya nikuwe anxious even more like next month, next month 1 year down, next month 2 years. I told God, there's a day I prayed and I told God, see God, basi nipea watoto wanakuwa aborted huko nje. Just give me those children who are being aborted because I'm not on drugs, not an alcoholic. I don't do contraceptives, as in nothing, but it's just not working. And the doctor is saying, I'm healthy, we are both healthy, my husband and I. So what is the problem? Then just give me a baby who's being aborted, then transfer them into my womb. And then I will carry them. Those prayers you make. Enda tuchukue moja natolewa huko umweke kwangu. Because now because there are so many. For me, here I am dedicated and ready to be a mother. And look at miaka zangu zinasonga. And I'll have children and I'm like, and then that's the time. I don't know. You're reminded of Akina Sarah. So you're like, surely. What are those things?
When am I going to reach 90 years?
Unakumbuka Akina Hannah. Like in God to please, trying to negotiate with God and all that stuff. So it was like that until finally by the grace of God I ended up where I am right now.
And what happened for your firstborn?
I don't know, but the funny thing is I see a lot of God in this story of mine. You see, when I actually discovered I was pregnant, I was so excited. I remember crying at the doctor's office. He consoled me because he knows, I know you have been waiting for so long. Finally. So we celebrated. Yay, we thank God. Nini. Bas. So every Sunday I would wake up and I'd baby love tunaenda church. So one Sunday in July, I'm preparing for church. Then all of a sudden I felt a little bit crampy. So when I excused myself, went to the ladies, I laughed and like, okay, no spot. So immediately I called my doctor, and then I was like, I've noticed there's a pinkish, reddish, so what I've decided to do is wear a pad because I don't know what's going on. But you know how we read this baby apps, like maybe it's the implantation phase, but I'm like, but this is the second month. It shouldn't be like that. So my doctor told me immediately, just go to the nearest hospital. So I went, of course, to the nearest hospital. Then was taken to ultrasound. So they actually use the transvaginal ultrasound. It's a bit small, kind of like a pipe, not a thick pipe. The head.
Yeah, that they insert you.
Yeah, I know. And it was the first time I actually came across that. So I'd never known there's anything like that. So it changes, is like, moving around. You can actually feel. I was like, So she was like, silent. She's like, I'm not picking any heartbeat for now, but just go because it's still too early. Just go back and come back after 2 weeks. So I was like, okay, fine. So I went to the doctor, I wrote some hormonal thingies, meds, and some painkillers. So I went back home, called my doctor. The next day on Monday, was a Monday. I went to his office, showed him the meds I was given. He's like, why were you given this? So like me, I can't explain. He said, this will help stop the bleeding. But now come Monday, the bleeding hasn't stopped. And it's still there and it's like it's increasing, sort of. So I was like, but I'm still feeling cramps and the bleeding is still there. So So he said, okay, fine, let me give you something else. I want you to really, really be attentive. If you see this, call me immediately. So I went back home. I felt better. I was hopeful. Though there's that kafia. There's that kafia I was working with, because I was like, why am I bleeding? Why am I having cramps? It's not supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
Even if it's the whole implantation process, but no, there's not that voice, like a sixth sense.
Yeah.
So that was Monday. Come Tuesday, a friend of mine came to see me. We're very close. And she said, Julian, God has told me to come and pray for you. So I was like, yeah, okay, come. Because Pia, the way I'm feeling right now, I'm pregnant, but I'm bleeding. I don't know what's going on. But maybe God has sent you because he sees what is happening.
Yeah.
So she came. She prayed. That is on Tuesday at 7. So she prayed. We stayed until around almost 8 or 9, if I'm not wrong. And then she left. After she left, like an hour later, cramps. So now the serious ones. I started feeling so much pain. Maka, I started asking, God, you sent somebody to come and pray for me so I can get worse. It was bad. And then now the bleeding started becoming heavy and heavier. And I called my doctor, told him, I'm starting to soak a pad. Told me run to the hospital immediately. So I went to the hospital, took a cab, went to the hospital, arrived at the emergency. I told them I'm bleeding and I'm pregnant. So they put me in the gun. It's called the gun or something. And then they wheeled me. So the doctor started checking me and just like, this, he called them what? These are products of pregnancy or something. There's a name he used. So this is a product of miscarriage, something like that. So immediately I started crying. I was like,
miscarriage.
What? Yeah. So, we've unaskianga miscarriage, but you will never really understand what miscarriage is unless you go through it. To hear about it and to go through it are two different things, worlds apart. So yes, the fear, the panic, the confusion, I started crying. Then these doctors are not even any good. It's like, why are you crying? I'm like, I'm crying because I know something is wrong. So even his tone of voice is not comforting or like reassuring, or how a doctor should be.
Yeah.
He wasn't, and this is a Christian hospital. So I'm like, why is he talking to me like that? But anyway, whatever. So me, I'm like, Aki, God, please, just hold my child. You know how long I have waited. Please do. And my husband wasn't there. He was at work, but he was actually on his way for like a short break and then go back. So I told him, I'm going to the hospital. So the doctor said, let's take you to ultrasound and let's just confirm. So now when I was being wheeled to the ultrasound room, now the guy I met, I think they're called sonographers or something. This guy was even worse. Again, the transvaginal thingy. Yes. So he started, and then he's like, hapa hakuna kitu. Hapa hakuna kitu, hapa hakuna kitu. So I was like, why are these people talking like this? And he was rude. He did not have an ounce of empathy or sympathy or whatever. It's like, hakuna kitu. Enda hapo, ngoja daktari atakwambia ni nini.
Okay.
So I was like, what? No, sir, I'm just crying. Because like, surely, why am I being treated like this? So I waited. The nurse came, took me, put me on a wheelchair. They didn't even give me change of clothes. My outfit was, because remember they took off the pad, so the more blood is coming out in the clot. So the outfit I had was actually ipati yote ya chini was in blood. And that's how they left me. Hata wakinika kwa wheelchair, wakanipeleka kwa room. That's how they left me. With blood. No change. This is a big Christian hospital. Nothing. So they left me in the room. So me, I'm there crying my life out because I can't believe what has just happened. So for the first time in my life, ever since I got born again in the year 2001, I questioned God. And I asked him, God, how can you be the same one who gives life and then take it away.
Mm.
No, because you're not thinking at that point. And me, I'm one of those people who are scared of questioning God because I know I'm not justified to question God. And I believe even the stuff we go through in this world is because of just the way the world is, the wickedness, the lack of order and all that stuff. You know, it's not necessarily because God wanted us to be happy, to have a good life.
Yeah.
If you go back and just try to understand God, which is what we even call ourselves Christians, believers, born again, but we don't really understand God. So I questioned God and I was in so much pain. I was like, God, you know, my heart was breaking apart. I have waited for so long to have a baby. Then you have decided you're going to take my baby away from me. So I was just there crying and crying. So this nurse came in, a Muslim nurse. And she just hugged me and she started talking to me and she started comforting me. She like started to minister to me. She's a Muslim in a Christian hospital where the doctor and the sonographer who should have treated me better as Christians treated me like trash for having a miscarriage. So she started, you know, she held my hand, she held me. She consoled with me. She was a friend, she was an angel, she was everything. And I believe God used her because before she came in, when I was crying, I felt like I was not seated alone on top of that bed. It wasn't a big room, but I wasn't alone. And it was so bad. Like I've said, my outfit was in black. Even the bed nimekalia because it's just coming out.
Yeah.
So I felt like in the process of questioning God, what God did is he came and he sat next to me. And up to date, I usually say I have never had such a personal, close experience with God like that day. Yes, I do it, like I feel it when I pray, Nini. But that day, it was different. It was like, you know, the way you're seated here, it's just I can't see you. And I can't really touch you.
But you can feel the presence.
I can feel, yani, alikuwa hapa. And I felt him while I was crying and I was hysterical and all. I felt like he was just holding me. It's like, you just let it out. Where's Ushat? You know, just whatever it is, just let it out. And I cried and God held me. I usually say that's my testimony because he sent my friend to pray. And I usually, when I think about it, because let me tell you, even that day, when the first day I noticed myself spotting, while I was in the toilet, seated there and was like, okay, what is this? Actually had a voice tell me, don't worry, don't be afraid. You both are going to leave. So I was like, God, now, so what do you mean by we're going to leave? You know, living is here and living is up there.
Yeah.
So please clarify your statement. That's the thing. I was like, I know it's you, so just please clarify. And you know, I don't want to hear the other thing. I don't want to hear Ukoju. Hapa, you know. So every time God kept on repeating that, don't be afraid, don't worry. Both of you are going to leave. And when my friend came, I believe it's God who sent my friend to come and pray because something maybe bad would have happened. You know, because you hear, I had a friend who once went through miscarriage and they both died with the baby. So God there's a way, he's strategic about how he works in our lives, you know. So I was like, immediately after, you know, feeling that presence and all, and the nurse came, then I was like, this is God. And I was sorry I questioned him, but I was like, at that point, I just want my child.
Yeah.
Oh, why is my child leaving? And you know, when you've gone through that experience, because like for me, the next day you just feel like switch mezima.
Yeah.
Everything goes off. You know, when you're pregnant and you're carrying a baby, there's a way your body is no longer your own.
Yeah.
You know that feeling? Yeah, everything changes. Your body has been taken by somebody else.
Yeah.
The house is no longer yours. Somebody is in charge. But now when that baby is not there, everything goes off. Every hormonal impact or whatever, every sensory that was there because that was alert because of the baby just goes off.
Yeah.
So after the nurse talked to me and spoke, at least it made me feel a bit better. Though I was really shaken because I'm trying to understand what happened. And then you see what happens with miscarriage, the first thing you do is you start blaming yourself. So I started blaming myself. It was because I asked the carpenter to come and, because I was getting heavy. So I was like, I asked the carpenter to come and fix my bed so I don't fall one day when I'm sleeping and I'm pregnant.
Thank you, Julia.
So it's like, no, you see, what happens with my pregnancy is like, month 2, I start showing. So I was like, let me call a carpenter. I don't know the excitement that I'm carrying a baby. So I started asking myself, no, it's because I told my friends. Na tulambuanga usiambie watu.
For 3 months. Before 3 months.
So I have all these questions. Or is it because I lifted some shopping? Or is it that craving for fish that I took last week? I started asking myself all these questions. What if I did this, I did this, I did this? At some point, I had cravings for pineapples a lot. So I also, then meskianga rumors. So many, all these questions. So in the process, the doctor came and told me, you've had miscarriage, but hakuna empathy, zero.
So the same doctor who was asking you, why are you crying?
Yes. He was the doctor in charge at night. Because it was around 1 a.m. Yeah, 1 a.m. So came, did his checks, unfortunately, you've had a miscarriage. We're going to give you some antibiotics. We're going to give you some painkillers. I'm giving you something called Cytotec, which you're going to put under your tongue, hapa chini ya ulimi. 3 tablets. Yes. So utaweka hapa na hapa na hapa, and then ukae. Itakufanya usikie uchungu. The way I'm explaining, that's how the doctors explain. Utasikia uchungu, ukishasikia uchungu, mtoto atatoka. So I'll be like, okay, so I'm supposed to go have my baby expelled in the house. Of which later people are telling me that's not how it's supposed to happen. I was like, mtu yangu alitoka akaanguka kwa choma hadi. Because I was like, I wasn't told, I was just told, wenda tu weke chini ya ulimi, then stay with it. And then, so the antibiotics is to help you so that you don't get infection. The painkillers are just giving you because utasikia uchungu ingine sana, uchungu. Lakini itu tu ni ya kujaribu tu kukusaidia usisikie. This is a doctor. It's not an intern. This is, okay, I'm assuming it wasn't. This is a doctor telling me this information. So by then, me pia nimezuba because I'm still trying to digest that I've lost a child.
And so whatever he's telling me, giving,
and then it's like, Nkambia, but what about when is it going to happen? Because I'm also working. So what happens? Tutakuandikia 2 days off. So just go to the nurse's desk. They'll write for you 2 days sick off. I'm like, I'm supposed to expel a child. I do not understand the rest of the things you've told me. And then you're telling me 2 days sick off. So I took all those things. Took the cab, called my husband. I told him, that's the baby. So I went back home. So saizi niko in shock mode. I'm just in shock. I'm somewhere in between, in denial. I'm not accepting. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow in the morning and this will be bad news. This will be not real. So even this part, maybe I'll wake up and it will just be one of those things they say in those to Google information that it can happen, but then you'll be back to normal. I'm there. I'm nowhere. I'm just somewhere there. So my husband came that night, and he was also very much affected. Would be for just like a couple of days, but he was also very much affected. It's just that men are not so good at showing their emotions as we are. So the next day, I wake up in the morning, do the procedure, Cytotec, chini ya ulimi, and wait. And that thing actually takes long to melt because it was a bit painful. So I walk around the house like that, nini, nini, nini. Then that was like Wednesday. When I started having contractions, it was on Thursday. Remember nimeandikia sick of ya?
2 days. So
Thursday. So
zimeisha.
it doesn't even tell me that this thing might take long. So Thursday is when I start having contractions later in the afternoon. I don't even know there are contractions in the first place because the way I'm feeling, I do not understand if it's a painful stitch, if it's a painful backache or whatever. It was just a mess. So it's actually my husband who called, because I called my husband telling him I'm in pain, you need to come home. He'd just stepped outside. Then he called the doctor, and the doctor is the one. Now my doctor told him those are contractions. Just be there, make her comfortable, rub her back, until the process is done. Good thing I had the most incredible boss in the world. My boss back then was Indian. That guy called me and told me, take as much time as you want.
Wow.
So you sick of dustbin. Take as much time as you want. If you want me to come with my wife and keep you company, we shall come.
Wow.
Muindi. So
Boss.
Waindi.
I know. Waliwachomea jina.
I know.
But this one.
You know people's experience. But this one, I usually say, there's a way God plans things to happen at certain times. He wasn't there with the company for long, but for the time he was there, he was a mentor, he was a friend. And he's old, he wasn't young. And the thing is, they didn't have children back then. But then, because of whatever, but then he was there for me. He kept on calling me like every other day to check on me. How are you doing, Julian?
Wow.
Do you want me and my wife atoke his posh residence akuja kwangu huko kule nakaa huko? I was like, even if we come, where will I accommodate you? Still, our house, yes, it's 2-bedroom, but we still don't have the other bed. Uko utaenda kulala, utalala kwa kiti, But he was there. It's like, what do you need? Do you want us to do anything for you? But I think at that point I was starting to sink into depression. So I was like, it's okay, thank you, Nini. So he calls, checks. I was like, it's okay, thank you. Depression was sinking kabisa because at some point, even after my husband went back to work, nikafunga curtains. So I was like, shut the curtains because there's something that just happens. You want to be seated somewhere in a corner. You're trying to understand what's happening to your life.
What?
You're trying to ask yourself questions. What would I have done to save my baby? But then no answers. It's usually an eerie silence, darkness that's covering you. And if you don't, it's a very bad spot because if you don't get support, you can really go and coming back with their problem. So at some point, I even went to my doctor and he was like, I know right now you hate even that hospital. But I needed a friend.
Yeah.
But why were they like that? Because my doctor talked to me and told me even the procedure they used to give UCG for the baby too. Because after these contractions, for 2.5 hours, I can't even get up. What? So my husband is just there looking at me because even him is in shock, So I'm like screaming in pain. What? Then all of a sudden the pain goes and I feel something has come off. I just felt like something just came off. So I was like, okay. So I went, the baby just fell. Okay, whatever it is, I fell. I was like, and I started crying even more because, like, God, do you want to tell me this is now my baby? Hivi on a car. Because I actually put my hand nikatoa kishikilia hivi kwa mkono.
In the toilet?
Yes, I did that. But then I did that. I did that because, first of all, they didn't tell me what's going to happen. So me, I'm seeing something and I'm like, and I just said, so this was supposed to be my baby. I just held it. I was, crying and I was like, God, why would this happen? What did I do wrong? All those questions and no answers. And I believe God was just there. Yeah, I believe God was just there, like, don't worry. Don't worry. You just know I'm here for you. So at that point, I'm like, God, mtu wangu anaweza anguka kwa choo hivi. Like it's so a human being, you know. So I was like, well, I just let it slide off my hand. So I came back and I told my husband, mtu ametoka. So again, men don't know how to like react, or they don't know how to react, or which is understandable. But it was the saddest, I think, part for me, because I was like, mtu yangu angefaa kutoka hivyo, So I wish they would have done something, I should have not just, because I felt like I had aborted, giving me meds to go and swallow so that the pregnancy can come out. So I felt like I'd actually done an abortion. So, after that, I started taking the antibiotics. But then my doc, when he saw the antibiotics, was like, stop taking this. It's not going to help you. Whatever they've given you. So he gave me something else to just like help wash my uterus of any residue. My doctor, and he's called Dr. Mbogwa. He's got a private clinic, and he's the best. He's worked with me through all my pregnancies, and he's not just a doctor, he's a friend. He encourages you a lot, So here I am. So I said, okay, fine. And he told me, did they tell you anything else, like going back to to have your uterus washed? And I was like, no, they didn't tell me anything. They just told me 2 days off, go back to work, you'll be fine. I was like, that's not the right way to treat someone. That was not the proper procedure. Because I remember even later when I told like some of my aunties, they'd be like, okay, there's an aunt, sorry, I told, and she was like, no, you're supposed to have been washed, so that if there's anything wrong, So I was like, they didn't tell me anything. So at some point I had an aunt who was worried, because she was like, what if your tubes block? Or what if something is not right that will prevent you again from getting pregnant?
Yeah.
They should have taken care of you. That was not the right way, what they did. So I was like, how would I have known?
Yeah.
How would I have known? Even my doc, that was a Sunday night, his clinic is closed, so that's why he sent me. And me, I expected them, being that it's a big hospital, that they would do something. They didn't. That's how walinipenda home. Not even being admitted at nini. I left that hospital with a dress drenched in blood. Ivo. Panda taxi enda. Na sick note ya 2 days na antibiotics na cytotec ya kutoa mtoi. That's it. And some painkillers. So it's only the cytotec that I took, none of those drugs. The rest I took. My doctor actually told me, is achana nazo. No. So after that, my husband goes back to work. So it's me back in the house, in that darkness, not knowing, not understanding, just having all these questions. And then one day, it was so bad, because like I said, you wake up and all of a sudden everything that switch has been pulled off. So you go outside and you're like holding yourself like this, something is wrong. You're starting to break down mentally, because now you can't even talk to people. You talk to you meet somebody, you feel like getting angry, because you're like, you don't know what I'm going through.
Yeah.
I literally shut out everyone. So unless you call me, but I will not call or talk to people. So one day, while I was in my questions, I just had God tell me, I want you to get up. I want you to go and visit someone. And he sent me to a certain a mentor of, actually is my mentor. She's my mentor. She's a friend. She's a mom in church, and she told me, I want you to go and talk to her. It's like, okay. So immediately I called her and I told her, can I come and see you? She's like, yes. come and see me
Sorry.
at this and this time. It's like, okay. So I went to her. When I went to her, her place, she had visitors, but immediately they left, she took me to a certain room. So the moment everyone left, it was just me and her. I just told her, Mom, I've lost my baby. And the tears that came out, cry me a river. Literally, I cried my life out. I cried and I cried and I cried. She just let me cry. Like, I think the tears I cried that day, they can't match all this other. I just cried. The moment I told her that, it's like I breathed something. So after that, she started talking to me. She consoled me. She encouraged me because she's also had such an experience. So we talked. And after that, I left there feeling like there's hope. There's hope as in I can begin to heal. I can begin to, because even on top of that with my doctor, talking to me and telling me the first thing I want you to do, stop blaming yourself because it's not your fault. And whatever has happened is better because there's usually another type of miscarriage. He started explaining which is worse, which should have meant, gee, what, we do this, but this means your uterus is still right. So be of good courage. So I remember after that, I started at least opening my curtains.
Wow.
So she was there for me. She encouraged me. And slowly by slowly, I started coming out of that box. Because it's usually the darkest, most dangerous place if you're not careful, if you don't have the support, if you're not also strong. Let me say the little faith that I had kept me strong because it's a place where you can even commit suicide.
Yeah.
Because there's that bad treatment. There's the feeling that people don't understand. So you're bitter, you're angry at everyone, your spouse, your family. You're just mad at the world. And then you're there not understanding why is it that God is not doing anything.
Yeah.
So I waited to have a child this entire time only for you to come and take this baby. So I just started healing that like that, slowly by slowly. Eventually, I reached a place where I can actually comfortably now talk about it. I can go back to the office. And I thank God again for my boss because he gave me so much time. So I went back to the office and I remember telling one colleague that I was at home because I lost my baby. Najua alinijibu aje. At hiyo stage akwangi hakunanga kitu. Hiyo stage. Anapo unakwanga hata usha feel anything. It's like, really, like,
na umemwambia
really?
Ndio at least you feel some
empathy.
empathy.
This is a colleague you're expecting, but then it takes you back a little bit. So you just kuna tu mali unakaa a space, but it's by yourself. And then there's also the shame. You walk around with shame. Because I used to feel like, shame on me, I've lost a pregnancy. So I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why is it that I couldn't carry a pregnancy? People are carrying pregnancies. My friends are carrying pregnancies. My sister has a baby. But shame on me, I couldn't carry a pregnancy. So this tag of being barren, this tag of umeabort ndio kwa maana pengine uko na mashida. It's not a good place, let me tell you. It's not having a miscarriage, as in, even for me it was one. Saa wale wanakuanga wako na several, So that shame lingered on my life for quite a long time. Because when we'd go places and I'd see my husband's friends, they have kids, then people would ask you, when are you happy? How do you start? You feel like it's your fault. That fault thing usually still is there, that you're not able to carry a pregnancy. And in some places, there's that stigmatization that a woman should not be unable to carry a pregnancy to term. But you're saying you're healthy, everything is okay. Why is it that you're not carrying a pregnancy? So yeah, it stuck for a while. It stuck for a while, and I believe that shame is also maybe what kept some of my friends from telling me whenever they got pregnant, because they knew it would affect me as much as I wanted so much to have a baby. So I said, it's fine. Don't be afraid. Me, I'm your friend, and me, I'll be happy for you no matter what. And that's why it reached a point. I after telling God, yeah, sasa nipe wale wameabotiwa ni bebe. I was like, okay, God, fine. I think if you've decided I'm not going to have a child, I accept.
I'll move on.
I accept. So I think there's a day I even mentioned to my husband about adoption. But I thank God for that man, because he did not scorn me. We've lost a pregnancy. Some men do that.
Yeah.
He did not scorn me. He did not treat me. Yes, he also struggled, because this is the first time we're going to become a dad. Then all of a sudden, this baby is no longer there. He was calling when I was pregnant. He was calling every time, checking, those questions, the excitement and the joy, like, oh, I'm going to become a dad.
Yeah.
And now you can't call again and ask those questions. Like one day, the switch just went off. So he's been there. He's been supportive. We've gone through that journey together. Though he's had his own struggles, I've also had my own personal struggles. Yes, people have talked and said whatever they could say. And I believe even him as a man, I am sure his relatives have said stuff, before, like,
For sure.
Those things. But then he was there. There was no day my husband was like, Kusipo za, I'll bring a second wife. You've never had those comments, yeah? Your wife is not, you should think of starting to look for another option, or aende akazalishe nje. That is what usually happens. But he was there. He was there for me. Like, I think at some point during this waiting period before I had now my son, he was just, we're just moving to na flow too. Life goes on. Yes, I come with the negative pregnancy strips.
He's okay.
Ngoja nilie, we complain, blah, 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 blah. And then we move on together. And he took care of me. And I really thank God for that.
Amen.
I thank God, because those are some of the small things, the support. And those are the things that remind us that God is there.
Yeah.
Because it's see physically, but through the people that surround us, to encourage us. And I remember even my sister was telling me, you never know why God took the baby away. Maybe angekuja kukwe na shida fulani, ama asitokea akiwa sawa nini. That's the same thing my doctor was telling me. Maybe angetoka kako na disability, but God alisema acha nimchukue, nimsort. And in between this waiting period, God communicates through dreams, which has taken me back. I forgot. Before I got pregnant, I had a dream. Now, the baby that I lost, I had a dream that I'm in a hospital gown, the white one, and then the hospital gown has blood. But then my parents are seated there, and I'm like telling them something to do with a baby, but then they are discussing amongst themselves, saying, why are you doing that and you don't have a baby? I didn't understand that dream. Now, when I had the miscarriage is when I remembered that dream. I was like, God was trying to show me something is going to happen. And God shows us both the good and the bad.
Yeah.
But sasa sengine sisi discernment na kwanga huko tuliacha huko nyuma.
Na tunataka kuona tu mazuri.
Nataka tu kuona mazuri. Now, in between, I had a dream that I was seeing my husband. I was doing laundry, and then I was seeing my husband, amebeba mtoi Charlie, a boy, seated on his lap. Now, when I remember that dream, it's actually my son. And even before I had my daughter now, my 2-year-old, I remember seeing her in my dream before she was born.
Wow.
So God has a way of communicating. The problem is we do not know how to discern, how to understand. Remember the first thing I said, we don't understand God. We think we do, we say we do, but we don't really understand Him. If we did, even sometimes the dreams that He sends us,
we could be just alert.
Yes, it's only Him who can give us that understanding. We can't maybe translate that this dream is like this. But if we if we connect, there's a level we need to connect with God so that we can understand what He's saying.
Yeah.
Because now, after Isha happened, I was like, oh God, you showed me I was gonna have a son. And oh, exactly, the features, the color, and everything, because they've taken after their dad's color. So everything, my daughter, exactly what I saw. And it's like I was telling my husband, Nima watatu tutakuwa na mtu ingine. Yeah. And my husband's like, I know. Like, how do you know? And actually, when I went for the ultrasound, it's actually a girl. So even the time we're having, my son, so it's like, kuna tu vile mtu yujua. It's like, but I've actually seen it in a dream. So that means there's hope.
Yeah.
And sasa ndio unangoja miaka moja inaenda 2 3 4 shanga God, sasa what did you show me? So sometimes because we don't learn how to wait, we disconnect with what God is showing us.
Yeah.
We don't pray over it. And stuff happens. And even the devil comes and sometimes tries to intervene and snatch what God has prepared for you. So that's my story.
Wow.
And they usually say it's a drama that God drafted somewhere.
Kabisa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey. Pole sana. Pole sana.
Yeah.
And now, in all that, I know there is a lot of painful scenarios, painful words that people told you.
Yeah.
But what is that the most that every time when you think about that story, or every time you think about the waiting period, it comes first, like the most painful statement, or is something that someone did, or
the most painful statement was that stigmatization that I'm barren. Yeah, that one. And then some comments being made that my husband has no wife because I'm simply not able to give birth.
But he has no wife.
Yeah, I'm not a wife. Somebody says that, you're like, okay. So a wife is somebody who can give birth. So if you can't give birth, you're not a wife.
So what are you?
I don't know. I don't know what society classifies you, but yeah, that's a hard part, because again, like I've said, you see, if my husband, who was not who he was, who knows such comments, what they would have done. Pia angesema yeye ana wife. Pia angesema ana wife. So there goes your marriage down the drain. You see, that's now where society is wrong, because they peg the pregnancy thing on a woman. You can't get pregnant by yourself.
Yeah.
You get pregnant, it's two people coming together. And God made it clear. So it's not, pregnancy is not just the woman. That is what people forget.
Yes.
It's not just the woman. So simply because our marriage does not have a child does not mean the problem is me as the woman. So you don't have a right, the audacity of people to go and say that huyo si bibi, si mwanamke, they're not qualified. You don't qualify me. It's God who qualifies me.
Yeah.
So whether God decides I'm going to have children or not does not mean, you see, Sarah did not do anything wrong. Okay, we don't know. We are not told maybe everything. But whatever information we have about Sarah, about Hannah, about Elizabeth, we're told that they were women who had dignity. They had their dignity. Walikuwa wanawake shupavu.
Wanawake bomba.
Mwanamke bomba. They were okay.
Yes.
In fact, kama kuna makosa niliona kati ya Abraham na Sarah, ni Abraham ndiye alienda kusema Sarah ni sister yake. Unaona? Yeye ndiye aliambia endo sime sister yangu. The mistake was not so, but either way, see ati God alimweka barren ama juu ya hiyo. As in, we don't see anything wrong with her. But there was no place where Abraham was like, okay, I don't care. Even Rachel, she struggled. She was like, kuna time I think alishikanisha Jacob mashati, wesu mbona mi sizai, you know. So I'm thinking in her mind is like, man, what's happening to your seed?
That is
These
not.
other people are getting pregnant, but me. So it's not the woman.
Yeah.
It's the two of us. And that's why I'm saying I thank God for the support that I got from my husband, because he was there for me. You know. So what if he was just one of these people, let me drop you, because people are saying you're not a woman enough. Because you're not able to carry a pregnancy. And the one that you managed to carry, you talk her. Yeah. So that is, for me, that's the most hurtful thing, because it's like you're trying to koroga my husband's mind and tell him, get somebody else. This one is not good enough for you.
And were you hearing that from close friends?
Very close people. Very close quarters, man. Haikuangi ni watu wa mbali. You know, even if they talk to somebody else, but it still finds its way to your ears.
Yeah.
It finds its way to your ears. Because even the person who was telling you this, I was like, I know you're one of them, so just continue. But I know you're one of those people who thinks I'm not good enough a wife because I'm not so far. You know, I've not given birth to a baby. So it's okay. It's fine.
Well, society.
Yeah, society is mean sometimes. They're very mean. Most times.
Yeah, most times.
Because they should be there. They should be. You expect people to understand. And then the funny thing is, some of these people talking are women. You've ever had that saying that they're the worst?
Yes. We are the enemies of ourselves.
Yeah.
That is very
you expect
true.
A fellow woman to understand, to console with you. But they're the ones who are seated there saying you're not good enough because you can't carry a pregnancy. You know.
Women, we need to change.
Yeah.
And even at workplaces, you find that women are the worst. When you are pregnant, they are the ones to attack you. When you
go to the queue, bus queue, supermarket queue, any queue, and you're pregnant, who are the first people to move for you? It's usually the guys. It's never women.
Yeah.
A woman will stand there. I remember, like with my son, I was actually hitting 100 kgs.
What?
We're big. That's double blessing. We were big. So when I was at the queue at the supermarket, me and my husband, my sister was there, my nephew. Then this place is actually written for pregnant women and disabled people. Kuna wanawake wananiangalia na niko na kitambi nafika huko. They don't care. They're just looking at me. Me and my trolley and my big belly standing there. You know, it had to take an attendant
to tell them.
No. Actually, I like what he did. He did not tell them, because it's like, really? What's wrong with you guys? Came and took my trolley, gave me a seat, pushed my trolley the other way round kwa counter. Huko mbele. Ukishalipa ndio inasongeshwa hapa. Si pali unaendanga kusimama ukingoja kuweka. Alizungusha the other way round pali unatokanga and gave me a seat. Because surely, look at the sign. And you women are standing here. You don't care. You don't care.
Women!
You know how the last trimester you walk
like
from this side to that side. Yeah, you're just there, slow motion, and your hand is there. Yeah. And you can't stand for long. No one cared. And I was like, really? I would not do that. We're told to treat people as we would like to be treated. I would not do that. Mi si hata nikakuona na kali kadogo. Whether ni ukweli ama si ukweli, kuja. But somebody would just see you with this big round tummy, you're looking there like a pot. Nothing. I was like, what? People out here.
May God help us.
May God help us. Call yourself children of God.
I know.
You're
Daughters
embarrassing God. We embarrass God, I tell you.
Where?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. And what was your hobbies? The most, or if he ever told you in that state.
My
What?
hobby, I think it was just denial, and continuous denial.
Until you got pregnant again.
Denial, because there's a day I went to, babe, sorry. There was a day I went to his place of work. I think I was taking something there. So I reached the gate, and usually they know when I give them a certain information that this is the wife of. So I was like, oh, Sasa, how is your child?
Okay.
I was like, ah.
Amewambia ushaza.
No, I think maybe what he did, he probably did what I did. You know, the excitement of, oh, you're going to be parents finally. Then you announce to everyone. Because, you see, you remember I told you, I kept on asking myself, oh my God, niliambia watu niko na boy. Nata 3 months, haijafika. So I'm assuming, I don't know. Maybe one day he'll correct me. He probably said. So when it happened, he did not say. So he just sat there and kept quiet a bit. So me, I was like, yeah? Oh. It's like, But that time I was actually pregnant now. With my,
your son.
My son. So it was like almost 4 months. 4 months to showing a bit. It was like, and I just corrected him politely. How you are kutoboa? I just ina shida. Yuko lakini analelewa huko kwingine. Si hapa. I was like, oh. So I'm sure I was like, I know. So but leo mwingine ako kwa njia. Akasema atafika. Akasema yes atafika. So I was like, I went and I told my husband, kwani wewe ukuambia watu tuli, you know? He just looked at me. I was like,
sasa ningesema aje.
I know. That's why I told you they handled it differently from us. And I sort of understand. There's a time I was telling him, you will never understand what it means to be pregnant. Never. I know sometimes you look at me and you're like, oh yeah, pole, or unasikiaje? But you will never in your life understand what it means to be pregnant, to breastfeed, to be on menses, because those are things we women. It's like there's some things about you I will never understand, but I appreciate the empathy. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And have you healed?
Yeah. I can say I've healed because I can really talk about it. Before I wasn't able to talk about it because there's that fear. And again, remember when I told you the shame? You walk around with shame like I'm not able to carry a pregnancy. Because vile pia watu wanaongea, it makes it look like it's your problem. But I have come a long way because the more I'm now aware. See, before you're never aware. You just say, I'm miscarriage. Okay, poleni, but you move on. But now I'm more aware. In fact, if you tell me you've like lost a baby, the first thing I want to do is just hug you. Don't want to tell you anything. Because I know there's something you're carrying in your spirit that is so heavy, unataka tu itobolewe basti mwagike. Let out the pain first of all. And then to be given time so that you start processing like what has just happened. You know, you're not the only one, because at some point you start feeling like you're the only one in the world who's going through this. So there's that level of understanding that we need to have with people who talk about miscarriage, pregnancy loss.
Yeah.
Okay, there are different types of losses. Kuna ule ame stillborn, nini. But hata ukiniambia stillborn, I will not understand what it means to see a baby and they're dead. You know, but I can have some sort of empathy because there's that aspect of you carried a pregnancy. Yeah. But it was never, yani your baby never made it to start living for that one day, for those, because I remember that feeling the day I saw my son.
I know.
When I was on a CS table, mature, because it's like, God, every day was like, because you see now when I got pregnant, I immediately told my doctor, so he put me on hormones to progesterone to help me. So all my pregnancies were that. Hata kama it's needed or not, ninajipeleka nipe progesterone kwanza nimeshika hiyo jina. Dufastone, I want it. And if you don't write it for me, I'll go to the chemist and get it by myself.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, it's like it will offer some sort of support. Apple, you start thinking like a human being, but it's God. So there's just that support that somebody needs. And it's not the kind of support mtu akuja kuambia vitu mingi. Like I told you, when I went to see that lady, what she did, she let me cry. Because I told her I'd lost my baby and that's it. She kept quiet. So it was me crying there for like, I don't know for how long I cried, but she just let me cry. Until sasa nikamaliza, nikanyamaza. Now she started talking and helping me heal through the process. And it was like that, praying with me like that, until nikafika pale nimefika. So I can say I'm in a better place right now. There were days I struggled. Whenever I remember, it kind of just brought like a certain fear. And even with with my son, I was like very fearful. Will this baby make it? Yani nikisikia tu kitu kadogo, Doc. I think he got used to it. Yani, my doc is the best. May God bless him. Doc, yani every call, message. Nasikia hivi mguu. Nasikia hivi sijui wapi. Nimesikia kakitu kwa mgongo. Because the fear, every pregnancy still carries that fear. Let me tell you, that fear never goes away easily. Yeah. Even with my daughter, I still had that fear. And I think your fear ndio inanipelekanga kwa Dufastone. So there's that fear like, kwanza the 3 months zikipita unasema at least. But still, there are other things. So you're just like, God. When you start hearing the heartbeat, the kicks and everything, you're like, okay, God, okay. The day you see them, we praise God. Yeah. We praise God because God has done. Yes. A wonderful thing. It's not easy journey. It's not science. It's not what? It's not even Dufastone. Dufastone is just, I think, for my peace of mind. It is God. Yeah. With his hammer and nails and everything, putting my baby together until that baby comes. Yeah. Very true. Very true. So they're my miracles. Wow. And I say they must honor God. So that's why their names, even how I named them, I said I'm going to honor God first because God knows where I have come from with my children. Yeah. Wow. What a story. So what do you tell women who have gone through the same and those who have not gone through it and just the society at large? What do you tell them? Let me start with those women who have not gone through miscarriage. One, don't ever take for granted. Kuna wala nasema, mimi nazanga ka panya. Like, I say, I'm over fertile. I've had some people say, I'm over fertile. Me, I can just get pregnant anytime. Even the way they speak, you're like, are you God? They speak like that, but they don't know the struggles of getting pregnant when you know you're healthy. So me, what I can tell such women, don't take it for granted just because you're able to get pregnant in a snap. Yeah. And we're doing the same things. You're healthy, regular cycle. So unaweza shika ball fine. Don't take it for granted. Don't go rabbit on people's faces because you don't know who you're talking to. Yeah. Okay? You don't know who you're talking to. Thank God for that journey. Appreciate. And even as you're raising your children, your daughters, just teach them to understand that there are other women who don't get the same opportunity, because your daughter might be one of them.
Yes.
Okay. For the society goes back to us who have both had miscarriage and not had. Let us, yes, one, Musama, don't take anything for granted. Just what I've said, don't take anything for granted. Let us adopt empathy. Let us go back to being polite people in the society. Let us go back to being understanding. Let us remove this whole stigmatization and start teaching our daughters, because how do we change the society? We change the society by picking the learnings of what we have seen and now start transferring them to our children, because our children are the next society. Okay, so as we've seen, we've experienced, but so what have you picked? That learning is what you start instilling on your children. If it is your sons, teach them that being pregnant is not just about women. First, it is God. Okay, but if you see maybe there's these struggles, now don't start throwing blames. Don't start going by hearsay, because there are people who destroyed their marriages because of hearsay. Like I told you, if my husband would have been the kind of a man that he says, let me listen to what people are saying, that I don't have a wife here, because it's several years nabado hatujapata mtu. You see, so start teaching your sons what is the right thing, what kind of support they need to offer. Start teaching your daughters how to carry themselves, and if they find themselves in a situation whereby they're able to conceive immediately, what happens? Or they're getting delays, or maybe they're suffered a miscarriage, or what can they do? You have to first of all instill the discipline of prayer, that God is their everything. Meaning, if you lose your baby, if you have a miscarriage, if you're having delays, or even when you get that child, the first person you need to go to and honor is God. Okay?
Yeah.
Because God is, if my story, I usually say God is all over my story.
Yeah.
Because every point, from my boss, who was willing to come and stay with his wife at my place, to my doctor, okay, to that Muslim nurse, to that friend who came, that is God's hand. So that one, I realized it was God because of the faith that I had. Maybe I was not taught or brought up like that, but that's the learning I've picked. So now if my daughter becomes of age and she's able to understand, I'll tell her my story. I'll tell her you once had a sibling, but they never made it.
Yeah.
And this is what you need to do. And if you have a friend or somebody, this is what you need to do. And even when you see somebody pregnant, it doesn't matter. Give them the respect that is due to them.
Yeah.
Just because your fellow women, you know, some women wanakwanga like, kwani ni nani ajaiza? I've ever had a certain woman mention, nani ajaiza? So they're like, my pregnancy, the way it was, you see, your pregnancy should be the same, without complications and all that stuff. Our bodies are different. So
you can even carry 5 pregnancies. They are different.
I know. No baby is the same.
Yeah, they are
no
different.
Pregnancy is the same.
Yes.
So we need to, the society, we are only going to hack the society by taking our children through those teachings. God first. And these are the things, how do you navigate around them with God in order to be a better person in the society, to instill positive influence, and for also God to surround you with people of positive influence. Then for those who have miscarried, I can tell them one thing: God never left your side.
Amen.
God never left your side. Whether you've had 1, 2, 3, it doesn't matter the number. Stillborn, whatever, God never left your side. He gave you that life. And when that life was taken away for whatever reason, God never left your side. Whether you saw him, you had, whatever, if you go back and retrace your steps, you will notice where God was. And for me, God was in that Muslim nurse. God was in the room. God was with my doctor. God was with my boss. God was with the lady that I went to that started helping me.
Yeah.
So go back and start retracing your steps. God will remind you where he was.
Yes.
So for those who are going through and who have gone through or pregnancies that are difficult, one thing, God never left your side.
Amen.
And he's not going to leave your side anytime.
He is not.
Yes.
Umesikia here? He's always with us.
Yeah.
And for those men,
I know.
hey, I heard that there is a man who was telling another man, bring your wives, I make them pregnant if you cannot make them pregnant.
How would you do that? Really? But there are people who do that, you know? There are people who do that. There are women. I know of a story of a lady who's, because of that delay, like the delay I had, they went and got pregnant outside. Then they came back like, oh, we're going to have a baby. But seem to iwa. Yes.
And the man...
Sasa kuna wengine wakwangi keen kuangalia. Sasa sika wangu hata siwezi sema. Ni chapa. Photocopy done. So, there are some words. Like, I'm just raising. You know. Provided we have a baby, I'm happy. Yay. But it's
or
it's
even
right.
They know their status, and it's like it's covering their shame.
Yes,
they know the truth. Well. Wow, Julian, I have no words for you. Just to say thank you. This was a nice session. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, and also for sharing your story. I know the people who watch, you know, this Amanda show is very dear to my heart, and also it's a sensitive platform.
Okay.
Very sensitive because not everyone wants to share their story.
It takes a lot.
It takes a lot.
I had to tell my husband, are you okay? Let me go. Are you okay if I do this?
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay.
Yes.
That's why I said I love him because he's gives me a lot of passes. And I thank God for that. I don't take it for granted. I don't take it for granted.
I salute you. And thank you for taking care. Thank you for being a good husband. Showing good example in that situation. You know, just the way you say, there are men who will just have gone and married outside, or even get children and don't even tell you. Then later on you see, hey, daddy, or phone calls.
The shock.
Yeah, the shock.
The shock,
Yeah. So even for the patients and everything, you just thank God for him.
Kabisa.
Yeah, and every man who is outside there, who maybe you are also going through the same challenge. It might be your wife or it might be you. Please stay.
Shikilia hapo.
Because you are completed.
Yes.
The two of you.
Yeah.
Before even children are just a bonus. That is why they are even called. Yes.
An add-on, yeah.
That is why they are called third party. We were taught that they are called third party. Everyone who is not
marriage started with the two of you.
Yes.
Okay? So these children usually say they're add-ons because they're here for a season.
Yes.
Okay?
They will go.
And they are strategically because they actually also test how strong the two of you. Have you noticed a lot of divorce happens during this children's stage?
Yes.
These children, they're going to leave. When they leave, it's just the two of you.
Who are going to.
Yeah, it's just the two of you. So that's why if your partner if there's that struggle, if there's that, I like this movie, Facing the Giants. If you've ever watched it, you should. When this guy went to the doctor and discovered he was the one who could not give birth. Not give birth, sorry. For them to have children. He went and made a prayer and they just accepted and told God, I will still praise you, whether I can be a dad or not. You'll just watch the story and figure it out. So that's the whole point. And I remember after watching it also, I told God at some point when I was telling you, God said, fine, you may accept. Come and you just start to flow together.
Yeah.
Until all of a sudden one day, bam, God has done it. Your timing is not his timing. Your timing is not just before you. And one thing I learned about God says that 1,000 years here on earth are one day in heaven.
Yes.
There's a time I sat and I did that math. I was like, God, it's barely a minute in heaven. According to me, it's been several years, but to you, it's like barely a minute. So you see, we might be at that place where we are impatient, but to God, it's just been a second.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to learn the art of being patient.
Yes.
Yeah.
Patience. Patience pays as much as it is painful.
And hard.
Yes.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When someone is, when like you, when you talk about miscarriage and the waiting period, now, if someone has gone through the same, they will understand more because they will know. You are talking about patience. You are talking about being faithful. You are talking about. It's because you have gone through that.
Yeah.
If someone who talks about that and they have never gone through that, you'll be like, it's because you have never gone through that, so you don't know the pain.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as much as someone has gone through or not, patience is required in everything we do here on earth.
Very.
Everything.
Yeah. You can't survive without.
Yes. Yeah. And patience, it has to create also pain, because at the end of the day, sometimes I say there are things that happen and you be like, if this thing had happened the way I wanted, I would not have given God credit.
Not even pain. The one thing that patience produces is humility.
Humility.
Trust me, utanyenyekea mbele ya Mungu. Ukifika mahali unaambia God, nipatie wale wameabotiwa. Utanyenyekea. Because you know it's not up to you.
Yeah.
It's not the doctors. Yeah.
Yeah. Very true. So yeah, couples outside there, stick on God. That is what I can say. Stick on God. Never give up. Never give up on God before He gives up on you. So unless God says, I've given up, which is not going to happen. Yeah. So don't give up on God before He gives up on you. Yeah. Because He's able.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, Julian, thank you so much.
Thank you for this.
I'm very grateful. Very grateful. Yeah.
I'm humbled.
Yes. Yeah. And I believe it has, you who is watching, you have gotten a lesson there, and you're going to share. You're going to share this video.
You better share.
You better share and subscribe if you have not. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your support. I really, really appreciate it. And you know that I always say this. Yeah, so thank you. And Julian, thank you again.
Thank you. Yes.
Bye-bye.